And then the TV wasn't working, and then, oh, is it on the coffee bar? That'd be great. I don't need it for the welcome, but I do need it later. So thank you, Megan. Okay, good morning, everybody. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. I see quite a bit of red in the room, which I'm very happy about. I have been told multiple times that St. Louis is a baseball city, not a football city. And by golly, I will bring football. I'm just kidding. So I'm happy to see all the red. I'm happy to see the red that is here. Welcome for those joining us online. Welcome. We're so glad that you're joining us, even if you were not able to be in the room. If you are visiting with us, you can fill out that yellow visitor's card in your pew rack, and you can put it in the offering plate later today. I wanted to tell y'all that as I looked in the mirror to get ready for church this morning, I noticed a few things that I have not noticed in a while. The first, I noticed that I need to pluck my eyebrows. Ladies, you know what that's like. Men, some of you do too, and if you don't, maybe you should try. Because some of you might benefit from it. But I looked in the mirror and I saw it this morning, and I'm going to blame this discovery, or maybe I should say credit this discovery, to the news this past week. Because I think as I continued to read the news, my eyebrows just kept getting higher, you know what I mean? And eventually they got so high up that my bathroom light caught them and I could see what I needed to do. Now, I didn't pluck them. I need you to know that, because it's a Sunday morning. I don't have time for that. So don't judge me as you talk to me for the rest of this day. But that's one thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed is these, which side are they on? Oh, these gray hairs. I don't know if you can see it in the light, but I have this little streak coming in that I'm not sure it was here a few months ago. I don't know if you can see it, but boy, I could see it in my mirror. And I tell you, I don't hate them, okay? I think they look distinguished. But I'm sure I can blame some of them on what is happening in the world as well, in addition to the 3 children that live at my house. I named this for us this morning because I know that we're all walking into this room with so many different thoughts and emotions and concerns and wonderings. This week I felt kind of like a cartoon character with like a swivel neck, just trying to pay attention to every different thing that was going on. And I'm sure a lot of you experienced the same thing. Sometimes you walk into a worship space and people tell you to leave everything else at the door and just come in here and worship. And sometimes that's helpful. And if that's what you need to do in order to be able to worship, I encourage you to do that. But I also want to invite us to bring all of those things in with us too. If you're worried, take your worry to God in worship this morning. If you're at peace, let your peace emanate from your worship this morning. If you feel angry or depressed or joyful, then feel those things as you worship this morning. Don't let them stop you from worshiping. But don't feel like you have to hide them either. We can bring our whole selves to the Lord, however good or bad or ugly or real it may be. God can handle it. This community who loves one another can handle it too. So I will tell you that what we're doing next with our call to worship, it came to me during a moment this week when I had been angry, and then I had been praying, and then I was reminded that the joy of the Lord is our strength, and in that moment, joy felt so far away. But I remembered these lyrics to a song, and I used them as my own personal call to worship, and so I wanted to use them as our call to worship this morning. I don't have my worship guide in front of me, but I think I can remember it. So will you look at that with me? Y'all can correct me if I get it wrong. The joy of the Lord will be my strength. He is my shepherd. I am not afraid. Anybody else hearing that song in your head? Anybody? Great. Even if you're not, or if you are, we're going to sing it together this morning. This is what I had planned. Okay? I am not Megan or Rachel or anybody else with a good voice, but we're going to do this together. You can just follow along. The joy of the Lord will be my strength. I will not falter, I will not faint. He is my shepherd, I am not afraid. The joy of the Lord is my strength. Ready? If you know it, I need you to sing it louder, okay? Ready? The joy of the Lord will be my strength. I will not falter, I will not faint. He is my shepherd, I am not afraid. The joy of the Lord is my strength. Last time, everybody. The joy of the Lord will be my strength. I will not falter, I will not faint. He is my shepherd, I won't be afraid. The joy of the Lord is my strength. Thank you. Let's use this moment to center ourselves and prepare ourselves for worship. Will you stand and sing with me? I'm gonna live so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. I'm gonna live so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. I'm gonna work so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. I'm gonna work so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. I'm gonna pray so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. I'm gonna pray so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. I'm gonna sing so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. I'm gonna sing so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. You can be seated.
One day as Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret, the people were crowding around him and listening to the word of God. He saw at the water's edge 2 boats left there by the fishermen who were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked Simon to put out a little from shore. Then he sat down and taught the people from the boat. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into deep water and let the nets down for a catch."
Simon answered, "Master, we've worked hard all night and haven't caught anything. But because you say so, I will let down the nets."
When they had done so, they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So they signaled their partners in the other boat to come and help them, and they came and filled both boats so full that the boats began to sink.
When Simon Peter saw this, he fell at Jesus' knees and said, "Go away from me, Lord, I am a sinful man." For he and all his companions were astonished at the catch of fish they had taken, and so were James and John, the sons of Zebedee, Simon's partners.
Then Jesus said to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you'll fish for people."
So they pulled their boats up onto the shore, left everything, and followed him.
You can stay standing. We'll sing together. Oh God, you are our God, and we will ever praise you. Oh God, you are our God, and we will ever praise you. We will seek you in the morning, and we will learn to walk in your ways, and step by step you'll lead us, and we will follow you all of our days. We'll sing it again. Oh God, you are our God, and we will ever praise you. Oh God, you are our God, and we will ever praise you. We will seek you in the morning, and we will learn to walk in your ways, and step by step you'll lead us, and we will follow you all of our days. You can be seated.
Please share this blessing with me. Blessed Blessed are you in this terrible, wonderful now, fumbling around for the right words. You need so much, and it seems impossible to say it all. Blessed are you for whom prayer seems hopeless, disappointing, futile. Blessed are you in your radical honesty in the ways you speak of your grief, the long, sleepless nights in a still empty bed, or the physical pain you feel, the joints that don't work like they used to, the brain fog or chronic migraines who speak of your loneliness, the empty home or nest or womb. Blessed are you who have the audacity to seek the miracles you need, the healing or a new friend or a redeemed family. Blessed are you as you learn to trust a God who hears, who listens, who hasn't left your side, who prays on your behalf, interpreting those deep groans you can't quite put into syllables or sounds. Blessed are you as you settle into acceptance, and blessed are we who live here in this someday, but not now.
It's the harvest. This morning, I was husking the coconuts and... It's the harvest. This morning, I was husking the coconuts and...
Well, we should clear the diseased trees, and we will start a new grove there.
It's the harvest. This morning, I was husking the coconuts and... It's the harvest. This morning, I was husking the coconuts and...
Well, we should clear the diseased trees, and we will start a new grove there.
Thanks, Moana. She's doing great.
This suits you.
Chief, there's something we need to see. Our traps in the East Lagoon, they're pulling up left.
It's the harvest. This morning, I was husking the coconuts and...
Well, we should clear the diseased trees, and we will start a new grove there.
Thanks, Moana. She's doing great.
This suits you.
Chief, there's something you need to see. Our traps in the East Lagoon, they're pulling up less and less fish.
Then we'll rotate the fishing routes.
There's no fish.
Oh. Then we'll fish the far side of the island.
We tried.
The windward side?
And the leeward side, the shallows, the channel. We've tried the whole lagoon. They're just gone.
What have you tried using a different bait?
I don't think it's the bait. It seems like it's getting worse.
Of course, I understand you have decent policy. I will talk to the council. I'm sure we can...
We fish beyond the reef.
No one goes beyond the reef.
I know, but if there are no fish in the lagoon,
Moana.
and there's a whole
We
ocean,
have one rule.
an old rule when there were fish.
A rule that keeps us safe
But Dad-
instead of endangering our people, so you can run right back to the water.
I've been standing at the edge of the water long as I can remember, never really knowing why. I wish I could be the perfect daughter, but I come back to the water no matter how hard I try. Every turn I take, every trail I track, every path I make, every road leads back to the place I know where I cannot go, where I long to be. See the line where the sky meets the sea, it calls me. No one knows how far it goes. If the wind and the sail on my sea stays behind me, one day I'll know. If I go, there's just no telling how far I'll go. I know everybody on this island seems so happy on this island. Everything is by design. I know everybody on this island has a role on this island, so maybe I can roll with mine. I can lead with pride, I can make us strong. I'll be satisfied if I play along, but the voice inside sings a different song. What is wrong with me? See the light as it shines on the sea, it's blinding, but no one knows how deep it goes. And it seems like it's calling out to me, so come find me and let me know what's beyond that line. Will I cross that line, the line where the sky meets the sea? It calls me, and no one knows how far it goes. If the wind in my sail on the sea stays behind me, one day I'll know. I'm reading from Isaiah chapter 6, verses 1 through 8. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting on a throne, high and lofty, and the hem of his robe filled the temple. Seraphs were in the attendance above him, and each had 6 wings. With 2 they covered their faces, and with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they flew. And one called to another and said, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory." The pivots on the threshold shook at the voice of those who called, and the house was filled with smoke. And I said, "Woe is me! I am lost, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips. Yet my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts." Then one of the seraphs flew to me, holding a live coal that had been taken from the altar with a pair of tongs. The seraph touched my mouth with it and said, "Now that this has touched your lips, your guilt has departed, and your sin is blotted out." Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" And I said, "Here am I. Send me." The Spirit is speaking to the church. Thanks be to God.
I felt God call me to preach. Unlike Isaiah, there was no vision of a high and mighty God. There was no massive train filling a temple. There were no shaking doorposts or smoke-filled rooms. There was maybe a shaking head and smoke coming out of my ears because I was like, "God, you must be crazy." There was no enthusiastic, "Here I am, Lord, send me." It was more like, "Here I am, Lord, but what are you thinking?" Both Isaiah's call story and my own would begin with a time marker. Maybe yours would too. Can y'all hear me? When I was a sophomore in college, in the year that King Uzziah died. If Moana were to tell us her call story, she'd probably tell us that the ocean chose her from a young age to sail across the sea and restore the heart of Te Fiti. But she lived on an island, and the one rule was that you did not go beyond the reef. She was the daughter of the chief. She knew that one day she would be the leader of her people, and so she felt torn between her responsibility and what she felt called to do by the ocean. If Moana were to tell us her call story, it would probably begin with, in the year that all the coconuts dried up, in the year that there were no more fish, I answered the call of the ocean. In my sophomore year of college, in the year that the fish dried up, in the year that King Uzziah died, they all start with a timestamp. But these timestamps have different meanings. See, when I begin my story about being a sophomore in college, that's a chronological timestamp. It has absolutely no importance to the rest of the story other than to let you know kind of the context of where I was, how old I was, but it had no other reason other than to let you know how long I have felt called to vocational ministry. In the year that the fish dried up, that's not a chronological timestamp. It's a timestamp, but not one that declares the chronos time, the actual second, minute, historically accurate year, the chronology. Instead, it's a kairos timestamp. These are the two words that the Greeks used for time, chronos and kairos. And chronos, as you know, it's where we get our term chronology from. It's seconds, minutes, hours, years. But you also have kairos time, which was more about moments. When you say something like, this was an opportune time, you're not talking about chronos time, you're talking about kairos time. Kairos is the word that designates time in the moments where it was appropriate to take action, where there was some sort of impetus for something. And for Moana, her call from the ocean came chronologically when she was like 2. But the kairos time, the kairos moment of her call, the moment where she knew she had to act, was when those coconuts dried up and all the fish disappeared. In my sophomore year of college is Chronos. When all the fish disappeared is Kairos. And when we read Isaiah 6, we see the phrase, in the year that King Uzziah died, and usually we treat it as if it is a chronos marker. It's to help us know historically when these things started happening, so we would know historically when Isaiah felt his call. But church, in the year that King Uzziah died is not a chronological marker. It's a kairos marker for Isaiah. It's a kairos one. See, Isaiah and King Uzziah were actually friends. King Uzziah was older than Isaiah, and most scholars believe that Isaiah looked up to him, treated him as a role model. Biblical evidence suggests that Isaiah was from a noble family. He had a lot of easy access going in and out of throne rooms and talking to kings, and we think this is what helped him have this friendship with the king. There's actually a rabbi from the 11th century. It's a Jewish traditional belief that goes back to the 11th century that Isaiah and King Uzziah were cousins, that their dads were brothers, and they were cousins, having grown up together. King Uzziah's death wasn't just the passing of another monarch in the usual succession of kings. For Isaiah, King Uzziah's death was a moment of grief. It was heartbreaking. It was a friend that was lost. This is a kairos marking. And it was also a time of upheaval, because just a few years before Isaiah's death, go with me on this history lesson for a second. There is this Assyrian ruler named Tiglath-Pileser III. It's very fun to say. Tiglath-Pileser III, and he had just come to rule in Assyria, and he had started this methodical expansion of the Assyrian Empire, and he was creeping ever closer to Syria and to Palestine. And when King Uzziah was alive, he was able to keep the Assyrians at bay. But then King Uzziah died, and we all know that nations are at their weakest when there's a transition of power. And so there was this kind of element of fear that had started to arise. Uzziah had a son who was his successor, but he was not a good man like Uzziah was. He did not honor God, he did not rule well, and the nation was plummeting into chaos and fear. It was in the year that King Uzziah died. Or we could say it was in a time of grief and chaos and fear that Isaiah saw the Lord lifted high on his throne. And he heard the Lord's invitation in this time of grief and chaos and fear to show up in the world in a new way, to step into the unknown. Our passage this morning ended with Isaiah saying, "Here am I, send me." But Isaiah actually said that before he knew what God wanted him to say, before he knew the message God had for him. I'm not going to tell you about it. You can check out Isaiah chapter 1, verses 15 through 17 if you want. God just says some really cool stuff like, I'm not going to listen to your prayers anymore because you have blood on your hands. And until you stop doing evil, start doing what is good, seek justice, care for the orphan and the widow, these are the things that God wanted Isaiah to say. This was not a message that made him friends. And he had said, "Here I am, send me," before he even knew what God wanted him to say. And it's like God tells him, actually in the verses just after where Christy finished, God tells him to give this message, but he says the people aren't going to listen. And Isaiah goes, "Well, God, then how long am I supposed to tell them this message?" And this is what the Lord says. Until everything is gone. Until cities are destroyed and homes are deserted, the land is uninhabited, the fields are ravaged. I'm really not making this stuff up. This is somewhere around, verse 11 in the chapter that we just read. And Isaiah's like, I'm sorry, what? He didn't know what he was signing up for when he said, "Here I am." He had just seen the glory of God and he was like, "I'll do it." And then God's like, "Great, here's what you get to say." It's almost as if God is saying, the future is bleak, Isaiah, but you are called to do the work even as it is bleak. It's going to get worse, Isaiah, but you are called to do the work even as it gets worse. And here's something I wonder about. Isaiah had seen the glory of the Lord, and that's why he said yes. But then he hears this message from God, and I wonder if Isaiah had said, "Okay, wait, no, that's not what I signed up for. I can't do that. People are going to hate me. People are going to reject me. I don't want to. Choose someone else." I believe God would have said, okay. I don't think God forces any of us to follow God's way, to accept the call. If Isaiah had said, choose someone else, I think God would have said, okay. In Moana, we have this moment where she has traveled across the sea and she has gone to the barrier islands, and the lava monster pops up and fights back and sends her and Maui all the way back, almost destroys Maui's hook. And now they're alone in the middle of the ocean, miles away from where they need to be. And Maui, her companion, is mad. He blames her and a decision that she made for the reason why his hook is broken. And she's trying to come up with a new plan and to rally his spirits for a second go round, and he's not having any of it. He's done. He wants to leave. And she's like, but Maui, the ocean chose me. And Maui says, it chose wrong. And then he leaves. And there she is, all alone in the middle of the ocean, defeated and abandoned. And she looks at the ocean, which is personified as this kind of column of water. And she says, why did you bring me here? I am not the right person for this. And she holds up this kind of green emerald pebble that represents the heart of Te Fiti, and she says, choose someone else. And the ocean is still, and it doesn't move. And she does it again. Choose someone else, please. And slowly the ocean comes and takes the heart away and drops it back down into the deep waters of the sea. The ocean chose her and called her and invited her just like God invited Isaiah. But she did not have to say yes. She wasn't forced to say yes, and she would not be forced to continue. Choose someone else. In the Kairos time when the fish dried up, Moana was called to sail across the sea. In the Kairos time when King Uzziah died, Isaiah was called to speak a message of truth to God's people. In church, I believe we find ourselves in another Kairos time. There are things happening in the world and in our country that are concerning, to say the least. We are in a Kairos time where there are two very different Christianities on display. One is a Christianity of earthly power and rule and dominion. It's a Christianity that praises the authority even when the authority is being weaponized against the most marginalized in our society. And we know that if Jesus showed a preferential option for anybody, it was the most marginalized in society. So let's make no mistake. The Christianity that's on display right now is a distorted Christianity that is inextricably tied to political power. And it is not the Christianity of Jesus. And even though I know that to be true, and even though I think many of you know that to be true, I am shaking as I stand up here and say it to you. I am terrified to be a pastor right now. I don't know how to pastor us through some of this. I am struggling, if I can just be really, really honest, I'm struggling reading my Bible because I'm hearing verses being twisted for agendas that I don't think that's how they're supposed to be used. And I'm struggling to pray because I don't know how to pray. And I'm struggling knowing how to be a pastor because I'm afraid. There have been so many times in the last few weeks that I've wanted to say, choose somebody else. I am afraid that if I say what is true, or if I bring it up, or if I don't bring it up, I'm going to make somebody mad. I want this church to be a safe place for all of us, where whoever shows up here is welcome and safe. And more than that, I want it to be a brave place for all of us, where we can have hard conversations and disagree with one another and still love each other. I also want this church to be a respite from the barrage of news that we're all getting during our week, to be a place where we don't have to hear about it, where we can find hope and joy and peace in the midst of whatever's going on out there. And I also want the church to be a place that will speak truth to the power and principalities and authorities that are out there, especially when they're doing things that are hurting our neighbors. And I don't know how to hold all that together. I'm going to try. But it's a hard thing right now. And here's why. Because I am so afraid, like I just said, that if I speak the truth, or if I say the thing, or if I don't, somebody's going to get mad, and I am afraid you're going to leave. And that would break my heart, because I love you. I love all of you individually, and I love this community. I love that we have Republicans and Democrats. And I know there's been a lot of vilification on both sides, but I will tell you, we have some of the best Democrats I've ever met, and we have some of the best Republicans I've ever met. Okay? I love that we have both. I love that we have gay people and straight people in this congregation. I love that we have cisgendered people and transgendered people. We have neurodiverse people and neurotypical people. I love that we have people of various ages and various physical abilities. I love our diversity. I love our racial diversity, even though it is very small. I will tell you, I pray every day, sincerely, that we will grow in our racial and ethnic diversity, because I think that represents the kingdom of God. And I think we would be better for it. I love this congregation. And I want to find ways for us to move forward in this time together as a community in all of our diversity and differences of opinion. And I hope you're hearing my heart. And I hope you're hearing me say that I'm going to try to use that pulpit with care, and not as a weapon against anybody. But I am going to try to use it to make our church a safe space and a brave space and a respite and a place of hope and a place of joy and a place of justice and truth. Because I think we need all of it right now. I think we're going to go there together. We need to be able to go there together. Dayspring, I think we are in a kairos time. And I will tell you, as the pastor, I'm nervous, but I'm also ready. I'm ready, and I'm ready to lead us to it. And I'm ready to lead us through it. We are being invited by God to show up in the world differently than we have before. These societal and political changes are both an impetus and an invitation. They are our impetus and our invitation into a new way of being in the world, a new way of being the church together, in ways that are faithful to the God who called us and responsive to the truth of Jesus, reflective of the love of Christ and listening to the Holy Spirit. And as your pastor, my goal is to secure our steps so that we can move forward together. And I've got some ideas, y'all. I've got some feelers out. I've got some things in the works, and you're going to be hearing from me in the next few weeks about opportunities that are developing for us to serve, to do the work together as a church community. And I don't know what's ahead, but I know we will need each other. And I know our community will need us. I saw something yesterday about how Mr. Rogers always used to tell children that when they see tragic things on the news, they need to look for the helpers. Do y'all remember this? Whenever there are things that are hard or scary, he encourages the children to look for the helpers. And I think children need that. They need that hope. But I saw a thing that said, but now we're the adults. Now we get to be the helpers. We get to become the helpers and the hope that other people see. And we have a choice. We can say, choose someone else. Or we can say, here I am. Here we are. Send us. If we go, there's just no telling how far we'll go. And I hope we go together. We're about to sing a song that are based on these verses from Isaiah, and I want to invite us all to use it as a response to God, a personal response and a communal response. You can stand if you like, you can sit if you like, you can raise your voices, you can raise your hands, but let this song be our response of the call of the Lord.
If you'd like, you can stand and sing with me.
By the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in deepest sin, my hand will save. I who made the stars of night, I will make their darkness bright. Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go,
Morning. So before we get to the announcements, I have one thing to take care of, so give me a second here. So, for those of you that don't know, church now has a fantasy football league, and I didn't do very well. Little fun fact on my roster, because I double checked it because I am in another league, and I was able to manage to get last, and I had both Mahomes and Hurts on my roster. So that takes some skill. I wish my family was here to see my accomplishment, but they could not make it this morning. Hopefully we have a good video of this. We'll get it later. Another thing is, I will say, I was kind of confused because I thought it's a church league, so the first shall be last, last will be first or something. So I was just playing. Thought I was doing a good job, but apparently I screwed up. And also, there's always next season, and so we might expand the league, or there might be certain owners that might be looking for somebody to buy them out. So if you want to come on, I think I might know somebody. So for the announcements on the back, please take a look. A couple of things I'll call out specifically. First is Street Patrol is on the 24th, which is Monday at 6:30. If you're interested, you want to have questions or you want to participate, see Mr. John Boley here, and he'll set you up. There's other announcements here, but the one that's more immediate is the pancake breakfast is like now, or in 4 minutes. So go on down and support the youth in Mana for their fundraiser for camps this summer. And I think that's it. Go, I don't really care who wins. I came in last, so.
Do any of the fantasy football guys need to get a picture of this before we let him? I got it? You got it. They got it already. They got it, Kevin. Church, would you stand with me as I offer us our benediction? And I do hope everyone will be able to stay and go enjoy some pancakes. May God give you the grace to never sell yourself short. May God give you the grace to risk something big for something good. And may God give you the grace to know that the world is now too small for anything but truth and too dangerous for anything but love. So may God take your mouths and speak through them, take your minds and think through them, take your hands and work through them, and take your hearts and set them on fire. Amen.
Hi.
Pardon?